AI that everyone needs to improve the digital literacy. So having access to technology is not enough. We need to understand better how to use it. So from the basic document creation, and this is the Office or Google or what is even a PDF, to programming. So this digital literacy is very important.
The pandemic has driven a surge of customer services traffic to the digital storefront of enterprises. When customers couldn't engage with businesses in person, they increasingly looked to digital channels such as email, web chat, SMS, and social messaging to resolve their request before picking up the phone. New research from Prosper Insights and Analytics exploring the importance of various services when shopping online found that 81% of adult consumers believe it's very important to have a website that's easy to use, while just over half 52% rate toll-free live assistance as very important. The importance of an easy to use website is even greater among Gen X 83% and Boomers 84% according to the research. Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Freak Folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, we have with us very special guest today, Ms. Susana Duran, ma'am. She will be joining us today all the way from Spain. She is a computer engineer and is leading the digital experiences team from the AI lab at Sage, where they are focused on conversational AI and experimenting with multiple forms of digital assistance. Sage is a multinational enterprises software company where she has been appointed as the first technical fellow. Previously, she worked on mobile development with teams across the world. She was the CTO of several successful startups. She is a firm believer and collaborator of ethics of code for AI developers and is member of different initiatives aiming to increase the visibility of women in tech. Currently, she also teaches conversational AI at different business schools. So first of all, ma'am, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here today with you.
Thank you, ma'am. It's our pleasure too. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is not just chatbots, how AI is helping organizations better serve their consumers. Ma'am, my very first question to you is, or rather it's a kind of a request to you is, please explain to our viewers. Actually, Elon Musk said that AI is likely to overtake human in the next 5 years. He said that artificial intelligence will be very vastly smarter than humans and would overtake human race by 2025. My very first question to you is, can artificial intelligence surpass the human race in its abilities?
Oh, that's a great question and a scary one, depending on how we look at it. But I would say that probably. And yes, Elon Musk said the thing last year. And I would say that 4 years ago, he said something similar, but instead of in 5 years, it was to take a bit more. So let's talk about what this means. And I would first explain that that now what we have is weak or narrow AI. And it's the kind of artificial intelligence that we have now. And what's that? It's the artificial intelligence that it's programmed to perform a single task, whether it's checking the weather or being able to play chess or things really focused or like analyzing raw data to write journalistic reports, for instance. So this kind of AI outside these tasks, it's not able to perform really well. And this is what we have right now. The second one, it would be strong or general AI. That this is when the machine's intellectual capabilities would be considered as equal to a human. So it can successfully perform any intellectual task that a human being can. And this is the sort of AI that we see in movies like Her, if you have seen it, or other sci-fi movies. in which humans interact with machines and operating systems. And those systems are conscious, sentient, and are driven by emotions and self-awareness. Predictions are not clear, that we definitely are not there yet. And it might take years, maybe decades to be there.
Right.
And third, we have super AI, where the system is intellectually superior to humans in any domain. And some scientists predict that might arrive in 40 years or so. And that's the one that Elon Musk believes that it will lead to the human extinction. So although weak AI is everywhere, strong or super AI that are the ones that could surpass the human brain are not real. And our main issue here is that they have not been even well defined. So defining what is surpassing the human brain should be a discussion, another discussion. So obviously, the more the technology evolves, the closer we seem to be in that phase. But however, achieving this process for all the areas where the system should be more intelligent than us will need time, will need a lot of time. So
Exactly.
not yet.
Indeed, ma'am. Actually, I think you have very beautifully explained how actually there are the AIs and which work differently.
Mhm.
And I think the viewers those who are watching this session, I'm sure they are also getting these points and will be insightful for
Mhm.
them as well. And my next question to you is the business world has changed dramatically over the last few decades. And now we live in a society, connected society, where change can be fast paced, constant, and unpredictable. Rapid advance in technology have created an environment where the internet, smartphones, and social media are ubiquitous. And the 2008 global financial crisis and the 2020 pandemic has increased the sense of turbulence, danger, and unpredictability in the certain areas. In your opinion, what critical skills required to excel in this fast-paced changing world?
Yeah. So first off, I would highlight that everyone needs to improve the digital literacy. So having access to technology is not enough. We need to understand better how to use it. So from the basic document creation, and this is the Office or Google or what is even a PDF, to programming. So this digital literacy, it's very important. And this doesn't require always deep technical background as to democratize technology. There are more and more low code and no code environments that we can use. So, and in this aspect, understanding what is artificial intelligence, for instance, will also help us to ensure that we use it in the best way. Also, this is an ever-changing world. So another aspect will be creativity, that I think it's a must. And this is a skill that we need to develop. Leaders are creative, successful people are creative, and we need to go beyond what is expected. So we even consider being bold as an important skill, and understanding risk is another requirement aspect to succeed. And then we have emotional intelligence, that I would say that's another skill that will ensure our growth in this environment. Especially this is for managers or when we need to deal with a team. This set of soft skills will help us to create I would say, a positive atmosphere for sure. And finally, I would add communication skills, that they will
Exactly.
ensure that our ideas are conveyed as we expect, and our goals are going to be achieved with the help of others. So just being able to communicate, it's very important. And we have different ways to communicate, but that's a different discussion, along with collaboration and so on. So I would say that these are some of the most relevant soft skills in this case.
No, actually, you have actually mentioned very great points, and I'm sure the viewers who are watching this session, they need to actually understand this. These are the relevant skills and will be relevant for the next 5 to 10 years, because we can't say that the person who is not tech savvy will surely going to face the difficulty in this fast-paced changing world. And obviously, the communication has always been importance and in future it will also hold the same importance. And my next question to you is, many people believe that future of gig work holds great potential because it tends to be more meaningful and rewarding in more than just monetary aspects. How do you see the future of gig economy? Because I have discussed this question with many people and I got a very mixed kind of a response. So I want to know what you thought.
Yeah, a complex problem, and it's definitely something that needs a lot of discussion. But well, the gig economy has been always leveraged by technology, and although it appeared before some of these new startups, the ones that we know quite well, appeared, we know that the core of the gig economy are app-based platforms that let people work in a specific location during a short period of time. So all of them, the majority of them, have startup origins, and the pandemic has promoted their use even more. So workers are kind of contractors, and their main benefit is the flexibility that they have working this way. But however, they don't have, at least in many of the countries that where they are, they don't have the benefits of the rest of the employees, but have like holidays or sick pay. So I think that the gig economy brings a completely new model on the table that definitely needs more regulation. And probably as much as the new technologies need this kind of regulation to ensure their fairness and the work aspects, like they need to work on ethics, for instance. This also requires a trade-off between deciding by ourselves when and how we want to work, and the other side, obtaining the benefits as a standard employee might have. So at that point, I think we will see this model spreading all over the world, even more than we are seeing today.
Indeed, ma'am. Actually, you have very greatly summed up all the things. And ma'am, my next question to you is, emerging technologies such as machine learning and artificial intelligence show great promise in helping risk managers pinpoint a specific risk and develop faster responses. Do you think these technologies can reduce the effects on lower risk areas and help managers focus their energies on real threats to critical parts of the organizations?
I think that risk management cannot be an afterthought, and AI solutions are not perfect yet. So validating their models on the lower risk areas makes complete sense to me. However, nothing confirms that they will work for other areas. So if we have tested our model on one area that is a low risk area, nothing tells us that this is going to work on either other area where the risks are higher. We have seen, for instance, during the pandemic, that historical data, it's not always useful to train our models. The behaviors have changed depending on the situation, and the changes produced by COVID-19 have made many models useless. So what was happening before the pandemic has not been happening during the pandemic. So although my direct response to your question would be yes, AI can help identify risk, we need to remember that AI is augmenting humans, not replacing them. So critical thinking here is very important, and our experience will help much more just using these systems, but our experience, it's a plus that we always need to add. So once we have validated the outcome of those models, our trust will appear at the point that we are able to focus on the most important areas that will regard all our capacities. So they will help, but we always need to consider that we need to add our experience into all the solutions that they will give us, and critical thinking and common sense will be always a must.
Okay, this is really a very wonderful answer from your side, and I'm very impressed from you this answer, because you have pointed out how this COVID thing has changed entirely, because historical data is never always means not going to work. And you have given a very beautiful example. Now, my next question to you is the digital space and contemporary technologies growing in the world and smartphone automation are establishing their importance in today's marketplace. In your opinion, what are the top biggest challenges for home automation, especially in developing countries?
Well, home automation requires connectivity, and that's the first point, and that's something that everyone knows. So the main issue for those countries is the connection to the internet.
Exactly.
Sometimes because the bandwidth it's not enough, or due to the lack of connection when it's really needed. And imagine what happens when your door it's operated through one of these devices and you cannot connect. Of
Exactly.
course, there are other ways to open the door, but then the connection becomes meaningless. I mean, so you need to make sure that if you are connecting all your system and your home is automated, you will be able to use the automation usually, at least usually. So that's one. And other challenges that we can find in especially in these developed countries are related to infrastructure that it's needed to build the automation. So smart infrastructure and even smart home appliances are not common in many of those countries. So that's another issue that prevents start building and making it grow. And finally, there's a big issue also here, and it's probably related to everything that I've said, is that those infrastructures, devices, and everything that is related to this, when they are available, they are too expensive. So all of these are blockers to let this kind of automations become a standard de facto in many places, especially in this kind of countries that are developing right now, these infrastructures.
Indeed, ma'am. Actually, you have pointed out some of the concrete reasons. And ma'am, I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take too much of your time. So moving to my last question of this session, actually, it's a kind of a question will be, means I'm taking in respect to the college students. So what do you think, what are the future holds for career in the era of AI and ML? What is the advice will be from your side to students, those who are still in colleges, and what type of skills they must learn? And one more, what are the things and how they can actually build their international careers?
Mm-hmm. Okay. First, the increasing adoption of automation, of AI, the intelligence, artificial intelligence, and other technologies suggests that definitely these technologies will eliminate some jobs,
Right.
but they will create many others. So that's something that we need to have in mind, and not as a big issue. It's just focusing on all the creation of all those new jobs that will appear. In case that you haven't noticed, I'm sure you have, the tech wall is the wall these days. So in fact, 90% of the leading businesses in United States already have ongoing investments in AI technologies, and more than half of those businesses have implemented some kind of AI-driven technology that it's reporting greater productivity. So the current wall is a technological wall. So AI is a great place to focus our energies for anyone that is looking to upskill their career or make their professional profile more competitive in the job market, especially when we consider that AI will have such far-reaching impacts across many industries. On the other hand, AI and ML are the top of many lists of the most important skills in today's job markets. And jobs requesting AI or ML are expected to increase more than 70% in the next 5 years. So that makes it ideal for someone that was just wondering what could be the next step or what else could study. So there's one more thing here, and are the soft skills. I mentioned it before that are needed, but in terms of these soft skills, we need to think that it's never enough to have a lot of technology, a lot of hard skills if you don't have those soft ones. Hard skills, there's a long and diverse list from math to analytical skills, including basic or in-depth programming knowledge. So my advice here would be to understand what each of those students wants to be and understand all the options. There are so many areas that makes no sense trying to learn everything. So it's much better to focus on what they really attracts them, what is the most appealing area, and at that point start learning and focusing on that area. And that could be, everything could be related to technology, maybe in this case, but depending on what they want to do, maybe it's more with math, has to do more with math, more with programming, or it depends.
Indeed, ma'am, this was again a very great answer, and I'm sure the viewers those who are watching and those who are from educational background and still in their colleges, they are going to find us meaningful in many levels. And thank you so much, ma'am, for joining and giving your important time. We look forward to conduct more such session with you in future, and please stay in touch, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure again.
Same here,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone.